and let's get busy. Cool. So, we're coming up on the end of the month. This coming week, the candle over here up on our monthly top right is still open. We can see that the low so far has touched the middle of the Bollinger Band, something we haven't done, I want to say maybe more than a year. Let's take a look, maybe 2 years even. Okay, so the last time we touched the middle of the Bollinger Band on the monthly chart was in 2016. Okay, so yeah, more than 2 years already. This is the middle of 2016, someplace over here. The last time we even touched it, forget about, close, talking about a really long time, but just a touch. So this, I think, is coming to the end at this point. The sell-off should be fizzling out and a bounce back coming. How far we go? Well, that's what we're going to try and figure out. But I think that the downside is just about over. It might just drag a little bit more depending on, outside factors like the elections and stuff like that. Maybe they're trying to really put some pressure on the Trump and the Republicans. They want the market down. I don't know what the hell's going on, but that's really the only outside chance. As far as the charts themselves, we've hit some serious levels that we haven't touched in a very long time. Let's go to the weekly chart. Take a look over here. Let me zoom out a little bit for a second. Okay, so the first thing you would want to notice about this chart, besides the the one directional move off the top, which that is, we did create a supply zone, right? Which is probably where the back test is going to come to. And the major aspect here is that green moving average line that we see on the chart over here, this green line, weekly 50 moving average. We closed not under it. I mean, way under it. I mean, we destroyed the thing, right? And if we look back in time, take a look. Where's the last time we were closed under the 50 moving average on the weekly chart? Again, you have to go all the way back to sometime in 2016, middle of 2016 or something like that. So we're talking about prices that we haven't seen in multi-years. As far as, the number itself that we're trading at, of course, we were at, recently or whatever, but the location as far as the pullback, the strength of the move down, and what it's been, compared to what we've been doing. So take a look. I mean, we're talking about even this, that didn't close under the average. So the last time we actually closed under the moving average on the ES50 chart is like, what is that, April of 2016. Okay, so we're due for a bounce is what I'm trying to tell you. It's trying to tell you, don't think that we're just going like this and we're going to end up over here. That doesn't happen, okay? And not without higher lows first, right? No higher lows here, one directional move down, coming into areas of demand that we haven't touched in quite some time, where the force of the move down has put us into prices that we haven't, seen relative to averages in a very, very long time, which means that there's going to be a defense of the levels that we've been touching. Are we at the bottom yet? I can't say for sure. Is it more likely to start rallying? Yeah, I think so. Is there a little bit more room down? Yeah, I think so. But, not for certain anymore. Okay, last week I'm screaming at us, so we're going to crash, and we did. We had a beautiful sell-off, but we've come into some serious demand levels over here. This is the daily chart. We're under the 200 moving average. This supply zone is screaming for a test out of this demand, right? And even maybe even over here, because this is really the major level. Right? You could see this was supply, and then it became demand, made the new highs, then it was supply again, right? That's a major level over here. There's this one also, which probably will create some kind of pushback and maybe the higher low. There are no higher lows yet over here, right? Could this Friday's bounce just be an anomaly? We hit some fresh demand, then we push up again, and then we push lower down to the zone? Absolutely. But that's something we will figure out on the smaller time frame charts. From a bigger perspective, I'm expecting at this point a back test to at least 2750, at least. Maybe even all the way up here. All right. We're coming into the end of the month, and then we start to get into, get into the holiday season. We know the Christmas rally is going to eventually come. So we're building a nice little bottom over here for maybe a test back all the way here towards the end of the year. So the question just becomes, where's the bottom? That's really it. That's the question. Are we breaking under this level? I don't think so at this point. No, I don't think so. I think we're going to rally pretty nicely. We're going to get up here, and then we'll have to figure out, if we're on the way back down, if we're going to break the bottom again or not, or maybe we start rallying again. I don't know. For now, my bias is actually leaning bullish a little bit this week. That looking more for the bounce back than I am for the continued sell-off. All right, so let's take a look on the lower time frame charts if that's going to make any sense for us. So, clearly on the 240, we're still in a downtrend, right? Just notice that, the last few pushes down are getting weaker, not as strong anymore. I'm getting pretty close to the top every time. We're going to get one of these soon. And is it going to be like, something like this? That we just don't know yet. But at this point, I think with the level that we've come into, I'm going to zoom out and take a look at it. I think we're done. We got all the way down to, what is that, 26, 20 something or other, 27 or something like that. And then we defended 2650 pretty nicely. Pretty good pop. This is the zone we're working on currently. Let's zoom in and take a look at it. So really, it's just wicks against the wall. It's nothing great over here. And let's see. That's it. It's just the wicks back there against this little wall. We'll have to see if there's a 60 zone down there that's making more sense, because there should be something over here, right? This is drop-based rally. It's all not fresh. It's not something that I would have traded limit longs or any nonsense like that. Let's make this a fresh part of the zone. But right now, we're looking at, again, because of how far we've come so fast, I think we're going to see a nice little test back to the upside. If the test fails, we'll have to reevaluate. But at this point, I think we're looking for a long more than a short. Let's take a look at the 60 and see what it tells us on the ES. All right, so here's the ES on Friday's action. Right, we'll zoom out a little bit, and then we'll take a look in the inside. So we bounce off of something over here that looks like, we have fresh demand down at 2613, which we didn't get to yet. Like. So there's still maybe a little bit more room. This is still a downtrend. We have started to make the higher low, but it isn't anywhere near being a real higher low just yet. We have to get through this thing to do that, right? We have to get above here. So, we can see this is downtrending. We know the sell-off. We got a little bounce back. It looks like we came back to test this little area over here, right? It was a demand zone. Then we broke through it, and we come back, we're hitting it, and then we sell off a little bit. And then we just paused out over here, basically, right around where we took out the last level of demand on the other side and pushed down. And now we're just stuck here, right? And we're waiting to figure out which way this thing wants to go, So if we get through here, and up in this level, I'm going to start talking about, something up here, 2750. Look at the downtrend line. Test over here makes sense. Off the bottom, if we get a higher low, if this starts to rally back over here, I'm likely to get a long somewhere in this area. There's about, a pretty nice pocket of air over here, 30, 40 ES points of air up there. And that's something we're going to probably want to trade. We'll have to wait and see if it develops. So right now, I'm leaning more long. Let's just take one look at the, at the level down here, what it looks like and what's going on over there, because we might consider taking something down there. If it gets down there pretty harsh, oops, sorry about that. If it just flies down into the zone, we might want to think about that. See how big what it looks like. Demand zone underneath us, 2613. Let's see where it is. 2613 is down here. Okay, there's the zone. Let's go see what it looks like. So that's the 2600 zone. That's the wicks probably back there on 240 level that we were talking about a minute ago. There it is. Oops, too far. Sorry about that. Okay, so it's a wicks against the wall scenario over here. It looks like the zone was really big at one point. It was all this from here to here. And now that we've pushed down, it should even be lower down. So it's got to be either higher up or lower down. 2613 is coming from somewhere. Let's see, we're looking at like lower down even. So probably the low of that wick. Let's put it there. It's 12 and a quarter. Okay, 12 and a quarter down to 100. So that's the zone, and that's something that probably would produce a really nice bounce. First of all, for multiple reasons. Look at the number. Second of all, look at the strength of this zone. It was touched from the outside, and look at the move up. We bounced 70. What is that? 2680. Almost 70 points on the ES out of this thing, and rocket ship speed out of there, like it didn't exist. So, down under here, something I might consider taking long, even if we fall into this thing as a downtrend coming up, as a counter trend move, but until we start developing a bottom a little bit lower down, I'm not taking anything over here. I'm more likely to wait for it to come back up into this zone, see if we can, fall out one more time, make a higher low a little bit, something like this. And then if we start doing that, I'm going to go long and aim for this sucker. Okay. Looks like we have a bunch of questions because I know it's not something you guys want to hear, so let's go for it. Hey, Luik, what's up, buddy?
Hey, Joe. Looking at the zone that you're actually drawing, I would have actually taken the proximal as the distal and vice versa,
Hold on.
higher.
You're going to move the zone up.
Yeah, because it's likely taking also into account the previous low.
Let's go take a look. Why do I keep? I'm playing with my Mac now, and I keep on pushing the wrong buttons because I think I'm playing on my on my desktop. So you'll forgive me there for a second when the screen goes blank. It means I just pushed the wrong button there for a minute. So okay, let's go take a look. So Luik says I should be drawing this zone slightly differently. Okay, let's go take a look. Boom, 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 boom. Where are we? 26. There we go. Okay. There's 2600, 2612. Let's go back to where it is. Here. Okay, there's the zone. So Luik says, let's do this. Put the wick here, and then do this. Correct?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't say should,
okay,
but that's
so,
what I did. I might be wrong.
Okay, so first of all, ignore this candle for a second, the one with the long wick, right? And follow my thought process here. Well, if we were drawing these wicks back over here, right? These wicks back here, we would have drawn it like this, right? Because this thing is gymongous back here, right? Then we pierced it with this wick. Then we pierced it with this wick. Then we exploded out of here. So if I'm going to draw this wick against the wall, I'm going to draw it like this. Here's the wick. Right? This wick against the wall.
Mm-hmm.
All what's above over here has been tested already, so that's okay. My proximal line is good. But this is just giant. So I have two options, right? Either I'm only going to draw the wick, or I'm going to take the wick out altogether and draw it the way I drew it. Like this.
Okay.
All right, you see that the leg in ends over here? See that, where my distal line is?
Yeah.
And then when I do that, take a look on the other side now. Look at this wick. Look here.
Yeah, previous low, okay.
See it? See what's going on? And this is where we really can call this the origin of this move. No question about that, right?
Agreed.
At 26.12 quarter, that's where the demand is hiding. If it gets under here, they're going to try and stop out the guys that are sitting over here or whatever, but that's where the demand is going to lie. So that's it. So if I'm going to take a counter trend long, when we drop into a zone, that's the zone I want to trade. Right?
All right. Yeah, that makes sense.
Okay. So that's why I drew him that way. Again, I don't know if we're getting down here. It's something I would consider. Notice that. I want to zoom out a little bit. What's that trend line coming from over there? It looks like it's right inside the zone, right? So this low's over here. Okay. It's this thing. This one over here. Where's that coming from? All right, mute yourself, Louis. Mute yourself, man. Let's take a look where that's coming from. Oh, come on. Again with the stupid button. Got to get used to playing with the Mac instead of the... Okay, let's see. Where is that trend line coming from? So that was some resistance support all the way over here. Aha. Yes, that was this thing over here that ended up pushing highs. Yeah, it's nothing major down here. Okay. Ignore. This is the level we're playing with. If I'm going to take a long in here, Louis, and it's counter trend, that's the level I'm going to trade. It's a big round number. It's got a powerful, explosive move out of here. So that's something I'd be willing to risk if I get myself deep in the zone, give myself some stop on the other side. I might do that, right? Otherwise, we'll wait for this to push up into here, and then we'll start to go long in this area because, again, based on where we are, it's time for the bounce back. If you're not a counter trend trader, you shouldn't take any longs at all at this point until we're able to start flipping to 60, which we have not done yet. At least on the on the ES. On some of the other ones, we may have. We'll take a look right now. So right now, again, my bias is long. Will I take the long if we break down underneath us? Probably into that zone I just showed you, probably. Otherwise, I'm going to start looking for longs at some point this week as we hit this demand and start to perform higher lows for a ride back, at least a 27.30, back maybe even as far as, testing this trend line up here that was the prior highs off the high up here, right? We can come back into that thing right by the supply zone. We'll probably get a pushback out of that. So that would probably be the outside level for the week at some point, 27.50-ish or so. For a nice little bounce up. Okay. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. So again, if we start looking at the higher time frame charts, this one you could see is stronger. We didn't even touch the middle of the Bollinger Bands. We didn't even get to the demand zone yet, right? On the weekly chart, we did close under the 50 moving average for the first time again since like that 2016. I'll double check. I think it was 2016 the last time that the weekly and NASI also closed under the 50 moving average. We have to go all the way back to somewhere over here, June of 2016. So a really, really long time. We're getting to places that, that things that people take notice of this. The big guys start looking at this shit and say, what the hell? Right? And so one big ass move down. We sold off from like 77 something, 77, what is that? High of 77.28 down to, all the way down to 67. So almost 1,000 points off the NASDAQ over the last couple of weeks, in pretty much one move from a weekly perspective, right? And therefore, expect that we're going to get some kind of back test. It just doesn't go in one direction forever. The NASDAQ actually started to show some strength on Friday, which we'll talk about in a minute on the lower time frames, but we got pretty good right into some demand over here. This, again, I think we're looking at a bounce out of this area, back to at least the 72.50-ish area, potentially even this thing over here. The NASDAQ could get wild over here, and recapture the 200 and maybe have a test of this 50 average up here on the daily chart right inside of our zone at 7,400. So I think that's probably the outside level, on the big really rally back. If we get it this week, that's the level. Do I want to be long NASDAQ? Probably more than the ES at this point. And I'll start to show you why. So the NASI is bouncing inside this wedge. We get slightly underneath us. As far as lower level demands under us, let's go take a look where those are. So the next level down really is way down there. We're talking about 6,600, which was like the outside target for last week on the lows, but it's basically this zone over here, right? All this is sitting on top of, the price is sitting on top of this demand zone that was formed over here. We've left it. It's a prig zone. We haven't touched it. It's totally fresh, and we still haven't gotten there. So should we get into here again, somewhere down here, I would probably consider getting long again. Other than that, we start to look for something on the other side because, again, this looks to me like we're ready for a little breakout of this thing back into some supply over here. Okay, and that's what we're going to try to catch this week. It's a pretty big move coming, I think, for the NASI, and potentially even, all the way up here. I don't know if we're going to get that far, but this is very likely over here, very likely. Now let's go see how that plays out on the smaller time frames, because we know that the NASDAQ on Friday actually, on some of the smaller time frames, actually flipped trend, which is nice. It hasn't done that in a while, at least on the 15, and even almost on the 60. Take a look here. 60 yen NASI on Friday, right, pulls up into supply. When that was on Thursday afternoon, and then that ugly sell-off, and then the overnight sell-off, and then we get into some demand down here, right, and we start to rally in the morning. We hit the first level of supply. We push down. We make the higher low. Take a look, right? There's the higher low on the NASDAQ, right? We were able to hold off the bottom, confirm that this is the low, and then we made a higher high. So it's not really a flip of trend, at least on the 60, because it's only one candle, but it was a very, very strong fight, big, giant twins, and then breaking up into the air, and then a pullback and potentially another higher low here. We don't know yet. Obviously, market ran out of time, but this looks to me like air, at least to 70, 80, and more likely all the way back to this 72 up here is where Nasdaq would run out of room, I think. If it's going to back test, it's going to get all the way back here, maybe over here. So again, there's a big move up looking like it's starting over here. Okay. There's our 15 on NASDAQ, and so, you know, sort of turned around over here. This breakdown over here on this zone happened late. Remember, it was Thursday, I think, right? And then we gapped down on the open, right? And Friday we had this lows, and then boom, boom, higher high. This is an uptrend already, higher low right here, boom, 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 up, and then we sort of stop over here on this little level on level. So there's a supply zone over here, and we'll see what happens over there. Again, if it starts holding this low and starts rallying again, so while the fresh supply that we're looking at now is all the way up here. So even from here to here, right, you're talking about almost 200 points for NASDAQ. 60, 68, 68, 68, 70, 80. So that's almost 200, a little more than 200 even. So move up potential over here, right? That's probably better than the shorts at this point. You know, if we start pushing down, so look, this level is pretty strong. We looked at it already. Something that I would be concerned with. You know, doesn't mean I won't trade short over here, but I would get out over here at this point, especially because of where we are in the higher time frame, expecting this bounce to come back over here. We're going to have to back test some of this stuff, start to squeeze some of the shorts out of the market. And that's what we're looking for. So I'm starting to lean a little long. I don't see the entries on the chart just yet, but I will start tweeting them out this week. You'll see them. We'll have to see how it plays out over the next day or so. At some point this week, we're going to be long on the equities. That's what I'm feeling over here. That's what it looks like to me. So stay tuned for the exact location of the entries. Okay. And let's take a look at crude. Someone has a question so far. Everybody's good? We're good? Yeah. Cool. All right. Let's take a look at crude. So crude on this week continued its red push off the highs on the weekly chart. On the daily chart, looks like someone has a question. Is that an NQ question before I go further? Hey Raj, what's up, man?
Hey Joe, good morning.
Morning.
Hey, this is Raj. I have actually a question about all equities. I trade YM. NQ I don't trade because of the volatility or rather large candle size to put my risk. Lately I'm facing the same problem on YM.
Yeah, I'm looking at it for you. Looking at the YM for you, guys. Tell me what you're looking at.
So, no, I for the daily, day trading, on a 2-minute, the candle sizes are way too big to put.
Yeah, that's part of volatility. There's nothing you can do with that. That's what happens when the market gets really wild.
Okay.
You have to reduce your contract size, right? Or you're going to have to just put your entry where you can afford to put your entry and trade it accordingly, which means you're going to put it near the bottom of the zone. And if it hits you, it hits you. And if it doesn't, you can't do anything about it. You know what I mean? That's part of volatility.
I had to modify, like out of my regular routine, I modified and I was able to take successful trades. But again, I thought if you have some input to do. But anyway.
Yeah, when it's moving like it's been doing over the last 2 weeks, there's not much you can do. I can only give you some solace in that when the moves up are not as fast as the moves down. So if we're going to start the rally now, you should be able to get in a little bit easier than the way down. You know what I mean?
Okay. All right. Cool. Thank you.
Okay, cool. No problem. Next. Let's go. Another question? Someone else has a question? No. Okay. Crude. So, I do have a question. Hold on. Who's that? Hey, George. Mic's on, George. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Joe? Okay.
I got you, George. Go ahead.
All right, a follow-up on what Raj just did. What I tend to do in high volatility periods, and again, most wouldn't do it, was increase my stop. And again,
so yeah. So if you're going to do that, so you got to be a little bit careful. I'd rather you can do that with if you're going to reduce your contract size.
I do.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's okay. That's the same type of risk. And instead of taking 2 and giving it 12 ticks of risk, so maybe I only take 1 and I give it 20 ticks or 22 ticks, because that's what's going to happen. It's going to get extra volatile. It's the only way you can do it. So if you're going to increase the stop, which I didn't want to say, the only thing you can do to do that is to drop your contract size to 1. So, or if you're trading multiples, then reduce the multiple, whatever it was before. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and I agree.
That's a smart thing to do.
Yeah, my tendency is to start small, and especially the minute volatility picks up, I'm using $100, $125 stops on just one contract, and once I put some money in the bank, then I could go to 2 contracts, but it's just been way too volatile.
Yeah, I agree with that statement. Absolutely.
Okay, thank you.
Cool. You got it. Thanks. Okay, Patty. What's up, Patty?
I have a rule that I don't trade the ES when the VIX is greater than 20.
Okay.
That's
cool.
I watch.
But you miss a lot of the big moves that way. That's the only thing, right?
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I'm not loving that rule.
Right. I can understand that. So yeah, if you're disciplined enough to not trade when the markets are flying, so that's fine. But a lot of money is made during those times if you can find a way to trade it safely. Just look? I'm thinking about just looking for the real extremes and then getting in there, and then I can maintain tighter stop. I mean, I can maintain the stop. Absolutely true. Yeah. So the way to try to do that is usually like around, I want to say, like 9:45, between 9:45 and 10. You'll get that extreme move into one of the smaller time frame zones that we're talking about, like on a 15. And then the market will start to sort of trend the rest of the day in that direction. So, you get that morning pounce around, you look for the extreme zone, make sure it's within your risk parameter, put a trade on. If it hits, great. And if it doesn't work, then, you have to just call it quits for yourself. That's the way you want to trade. But when the model's really volatile and you don't want to, take that additional volatility on your account, so that's what you can do. Look for that extreme zone. It's usually one of the zones I've tweeted out in the morning that you're looking at pretty much. And if you can fit in, get an order in that zone, and with fitting within your risk rules, it's something worth a try, even when the VIX is 20, because those are the days that you'll get the really crazy moves. Right. But think about it. All right, you got it. Raj, yeah, man.
Yeah, when Patty said she had that rule, I just thought of that rule you are going to publish. Just a reminder. Thank you.
Which one? Oh, yeah. Do me a favor. Send me an email, Raj. Okay?
I will. Thank you.
So I can drop it. I'll drop it. Okay, bye. All right, cool. Let's keep going. All right, cool. All right, let's look at crude. So crude over here on Friday started to do what we were waiting for, actually. We had a very nice sell-off during the week. Again, still pushing down, but the same idea pretty much as the equities. We've pushed really hard, over $10 to the downside. We've come into this little gapping type of demand area on the daily, outside the 200 average, outside the Bollinger Bands, and we start to flag a little bit. It's still a bear flag, but when we start to investigate this on the lower time frames, take a look. That looks to me like we're in the middle of making a little V-bottom over here, back to 70, right? I'm sure you would agree with me. And as I go through the time frames, you'll see that that's pretty much what's happening over here. Fairly certain we're going to get a test of at least 68.50 and potentially even 70 this week. So even though the trend is still down, this is all basing around at the bottom, boom, 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 boom. It's not going to flip the trend, at least on the 240. It might on the 60. Look, but right now it doesn't, and it can easily get back over here. And that's the trade I'm looking for crude this week. A bounce back to 70, this level over here on the daily chart. Okay, so yeah, we started to trade long on Friday, and it worked out really nice. And now I think that's still the way to go. So what I did over here on the 60, let me show you what I was looking at. Okay. There was supply over here that we came into twice, right? First we had a nice little 1 time, 2 times, right? 3 times on the bottom there. We end up holding. It's all one level, okay, slightly higher, but a flat level for me. We come back into the level again, and then we come back again. This one is a little bit higher than the other ones over here, but still within the range that really it's just the same bottom. I don't think this would really I would call this flipping of trend or higher low. I don't call this just like, triple, quadruple, pick the number you want from the bottom. That's one bottom. So really all this move up would be counter trend, but you're allowed to trade the long side over here because of this bottom, right? And we're looking at this double bottom rule. I can go easily to 68.50-ish over here, and I think this is the level that we're looking at, and I'm not sure, but pretty sure that this will become a bull flag, and that's going to be our entry. That's why it's light green on the chart. The zone is not there yet, but I'm anticipating that we're going to see this like this, okay? And that's what we're looking for. I want this supply zone out of the way, all right? I'm not going to trade it anymore because, well, it looks like we're at 68 already, so like 15 ticks over here until we get into the zone. It's the supply zone for sure. Nice little base over there. It was the middle of this area when we took it out. So we're going to get a little pullback, okay? And I think the long is here on the 15. It's slightly below. I'll show it to you. But there is a very pretty long sitting over here from 67 and change all the way up to 70, okay? Really nice long crude. Counter trend all the way. Get out a little before the zone over here because this is one move up from the bottom, and who the hell knows after that? That's my gut feeling is we're going to crash. This is a back test of 70, and we're going down to like 60 or 62 or something like that. So I would be getting out of longs over here, but that's the trade I'm looking for this week. Clearing of the zone, pull back into demand, entry long, target 70. Okay. So let's look for that on the smaller time frame. The zone is coming in a dot lower down. This is coming in at 67.37, which is basically this basing area over here. See it over here? This little thing over here. And that's what we're looking at right now. Okay. So 50 averages in here on the 15 at least. We need to see this pull up a little bit more. This will be the 60 zone that's created. That's already there. So we'll have to watch if it holds it for us. Otherwise, this one I'll buy limit. If we pop up here and pull back into this zone, I'm going limit long. Over here, my stop under 66.97 somewhere. And we're looking for the long, and our target's going to be all the way up here at 70. Okay, T2 is up to 70. Cool. Good. Next. That's crude. Take a look at the dollar. What happened this week so far? And here. So we have a nice green week. We're closing up again above the 200 moving average on the dollar weekly chart. All right, and we come back into this top of this level. This is the head and shoulders inverse over here, and it's time to decide what the hell's going to happen here. We're either going to bust up to the top, explode, and get back to this 100 number over here, or we're going to fail over here and then just break down straight. Okay, which way is it going? No clue. I have no idea right now, but we'll find out this week. Okay, my gut tells me we're probably done over here, but until the chart starts saying it, I haven't seen it yet. You can see that what we did over here on the 240. Let me blow it up a little bit. Is that we were rallying, basing, flagging out, but right on top of us was this supply zone over here on the dollar. Let's look at that. Up on the 240 chart. There's the supply, okay? Right over here, right off the top, base, big drop. So we're flagging right under the zone. Then we pop in and boom, we pull right back to the demand zone again. So, on the way up now, we should be able to figure out what's going to happen, okay? If we turn over before we get back to the top, so this is the top, the head and shoulders is finished. It wasn't able to break through the neckline. It's going to collapse. If we get back to the highs, it's over. We're exploding to 100. Okay, and that we need to keep in the back of our mind because that's going to hurt all the currencies if we break through the top, and inverse, obviously, if we start selling off. So keep that in mind. That, keep your eye up here on this chart as we bounce back to the top for the dollar. What happens? Okay. Cool. All right. Here's gold. So also affected by the price of dollar, obviously. Gold is actually closed the week on its 200 moving average, something we haven't touched since Last time we got above the 200 moving average, back in July of 2017. Long time ago. Okay, so a year and a half since we've touched the moving average on the weekly chart. We're closed right on it. 4 green weeks in a row. Still room over here back to this level, but we know that we're sort of flagging out up here on top of this level on the daily chart, right? And we've been hitting it day after day after day after day. Okay. Right over here, you can see what the zone was, a little flip area there, and we're banging around, and it's right around 1250, right? And after this extended level of basing, holding the low, we popped up strong, and then we just flagged out. So the sellers are trying to fight this level, okay? And that's why we're getting basing, because the buyers here they're here. They're fighting, okay? Fighting. I think we're going to pop the level, but there might be one more back test. So this week we have an FP on Friday. It's really the only, really mostly important. It's the only important news that we have coming out this week is the NFP. So I think we might get a back test into some of the zones that are underneath us over here. Absolutely interested in that, for sure, no question. If we can do that, I would like to get long somewhere underneath the flag for a trade all the way back to up here, somewhere around 1270 or so. All right. So let's go see what that looks like on our smaller time frame charts. So there's our 240, and you can see that over here we're already starting to flag a little bit higher, right? We had this lower portion of the flag, we had another lower portion over here, so there's demand. The buyers are here, right? These guys that did this, they're in town. They haven't gone anywhere. They're fighting the sellers up here, and they're still holding price. So it's likely that we rally out through the top. The only question is, do they let it go back one more time to somewhere over here where we broke through this area? That same zone I keep talking about since last week. It's a really set and forget type of trade where you just leave an order there, because if it gets hit, very likely that it's going to be green very fast and very, very green. So I'm going to take that order. No matter how it arrives into that zone. I'm looking at it again over here. This is where we're holding. Take a look what happened over here, right? We had a little trend line over here. We broke out, okay? And this is important for people who like to take breakout trades. You better make sure there's air, because we broke out right into a supply zone, which we'll go look at and look what happened, right? Don't take a breakout without air on top of you. We immediately right back into the range, okay, and therefore, could we end up somewhere down over here? Absolutely. This is the level I keep talking about, and this thing right here. It's the flip area. It's it looks a little better on the 15. We'll go look at it again, but absolutely something you want to trade, okay? If we get, for some reason, a back test all the way down here, one of those wicks that gold likes to do, buy this zone, okay? It's not a lot of money. It's worth the risk, okay? That's what I'm looking at. At least that's what I'm going to do. So take a look down here on the 15. And that's really the only great gold trade that I see over here. Okay, and this is the zone we're talking about. Right here. 053 to 07. Okay. You can see what it was over here. You can see that we tried to touch it on the outside over here. Explosive move underneath all this crap. If we drop into that thing as a straight down, goodbye. Okay. Other than that, I don't really have a great trade for gold. I'm not taking any breakouts over here. There's a bunch of supply on top of us still. So that's it. See if it comes down to us or not. Next, euro. So the theme for the rest of the currencies really is one move off the bottom. That's what we're looking at basically just about for every currency, back into supply, right? We had the lows that we're back into on the daily, right? Back down here on the weekly. And the question becomes, do we form the double bottom? Because again, this is the head and shoulders. It's the same thing inverted on the dollar, right? Here's the head and shoulders. We come back to the neckline. And now the question becomes, do we turn over and break down whatever this is, a huge amount, right? Or we fail and we just go the other way. I think we're going to fail, but I don't know for sure yet. And we'll know better when we start doing this, hitting the supply zone and making a higher low. So right now you can see the move is one move off the top, and we come into the supply. And this happened on Friday, and I was waiting all day to try the short because that's the trend trade. And the lower time frame never made the lower high. Never gave me an entry into the chart, into the trade. I'm going to show you what I'm talking about. Okay, so the move is straight off the bottom. This is a downtrend. Boom, boom, boom. We hit the demand zone, and then we start going boom, straight up through the air. Excellent, love it. Well, I want to be short. We got into supply on the 240. I'm waiting for the short to trigger. What is a short going to look like? Well, the lower time frame starts turning into a downtrend, and then we can take a short. So, or at least show me some lower highs. Well, here's the 15, didn't do it. Let me go to 15 first. 15, waiting. Every time we pull back, we ended up making a higher high. Pull back over here, make the higher high. Pull back over here, we come back, makes a higher high. And then the sells off the high, but in the air. All the way at the end of the day. It never gave a short signal. Okay? So that's sort of telling me, I think that's one of the reasons I think we're going to fail, because it should have really started. If it was going to sell off a little bit, take a look. Here's the push down into the bottom. All this is this crazy rally that started boom, 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 boom. Every time we sold off, higher low. Sell off, higher low. Higher high, sorry. Sell off, higher high. Sell off, and then where's the lower high? Didn't form. Never formed. Higher, higher. No trigger. Okay? This one, I traded. I got stopped out. That was it. Over. Never got a chance. So, nothing doing. Okay, so I think we're still not finished in the rally, and I think we're actually going to get the higher low, which means if we do this over here, there's the zone I'm looking at. If we hit this thing and hold, I'm going long. Okay, I'm going to watch the flip of the trend on the 60. This zone right here, which is opposite this area right here, which is what you're looking at down here. That's the zone I want. If it hits here and holds, I'm going long, playing this V bottom, higher low in the 60 with air all the way, I would say, all the way back to here at this point. 15 and change. Okay? So, huge move up. And that would sort of confirm that, the head and shoulders on the daily chart is going to fail. It's not going to break down. It's actually going to break up. Okay? So, we're going to watch for that level. This is the spot, 114. Okay? Tight, beautiful little doji. Bingo. That's the trick. Take a look. Let's see what it looks like on the 15. Absolutely. Take a look. All right. Little flip area. Demand becomes supply. And on the way up, we create this fantastic doji. Okay. We clean out this supply zone. Makes a higher low. Comes up here. We're in the air. This thing drops in here. Thank you. Check. I'm in. Okay. Cool. Next. Aussie. Take a look. Same story, okay? There's the bottom. Weekly starts to hold a little bit, gets this little hammer candle. Still not looking like strength. On the daily, we actually wick underneath and we close all the way up here like a reversal candle, right? Look at the 240. Off the lows, boom, one move up right into the supply. And then the same story. It never gave the trigger for the short. Is it going to pull back and make a higher low? I sure hope so, because that's what we're looking for at this point, right? So we could look at something like this, and then we'll probably all the way up to here. Okay, we'll go look at the 60 how it's coming out, but same idea at this point. We're looking for a chance on a rally, on a pullback into the demand. With that low time frame, there it is. One move up, straight up, bang. Okay, so we're going to get some kind of pullback into something over here, right, on the lower time frame, probably right around here. We'll look at it now. If we do this and we start holding, so up here, pick your spot. Probably over here, I would say at this point. Counter trend still, I might be holding this. If we do pull over here, we're actually going to be in an uptrend by the time we get back there, meaning that if we drop out of this zone and we create a higher low, and then we come back up over here, right, then we would make a higher high. Right, and then this would be hitting this zone. We'd already be in an uptrend. So I'd probably aim for this as far as a T2 is concerned. Okay. Let's look at the 15 for the entry. Ooh, wow, delicious. Very pretty zone. Okay. There we go. Again, looking at the lower zone over here. Could it turn around over here? Sure. And if it does, we'll trade accordingly. Otherwise, really nice. Look at that. Takes out the middle over here, bang, 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 and then boom. Long Aussie dollar. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Pounds, same story. Currencies all did the same move. They all came back to this level of demand that was underneath us. Over here on the daily chart, this one didn't get all the way down into the zone. Starts to print the candle over here. The 240 demand starts to push up. We got a lot of air over here. Pound doesn't look as strong as some of the other ones. The Aussie dollar looks really strong. Pound's not looking as strong, but there's a ton of air. Look at the 60 chart. Okay. Look at all this. Okay. This becomes a higher low. We're somewhere over here, higher low. We're talking about, 1.3, back to the 1.3 basically, 1295 to, somewhere up there, into this demand zone, up to a supply zone. So, nice pop, nothing wrong with that. We're trading V-bottom reversal pretty much. That's what we're talking about on just about every currency because we're anticipating that, look at this is all air, okay? So here's the supply. We've hit it, or just about we'll hit it, and demand over here. So that's the long, and then the target, up here someplace. Okay. All good so far, right? Everybody's with me? Cool. Canadian. So this one we had a really nice trade this week. I have a question. Hold on. Yeah, Luke. What's up?
Hey, Joe. BP, 15 minutes.
BP, 15 minutes.
Yeah,
there's two zones. I forgot. I was taking the lower one.
Okay. Well, you actually merged the two, right? Because you got that little
yes, that is exactly what I did. It's level on level. Over here, that's level. So you're looking at this, and then this thing over here. So yes, I just drew this one as sort of merging the two zones together. Yes, I did.
Okay. All right. Just want to make sure. Thank you.
Yep. They're too close together, man. Okay. All right. As it is, it's only 10 ticks, right? It's nothing. This is $60, $65, whatever. It's nonsense. Canadian. So we started Canadian long. If you remember, I think you guys were with me on Wednesday. With the long, we shoot right into this 240 supply. Again, notice one move off the bottom, right into the supply zone. This one starts pulling back already. Okay. Let's take a look. So here's our 60 chart. Now we were in this last week, I think Wednesday webinar, right? We popped right through there on the news that came out. We got our T2, and then it just shoots up into supply and then collapses back down, right? And sells off pretty harshly. We're watching to see if this one ends up creating higher lows yet. Right now, this is back into a downtrend. The other ones are still holding all the way up there, right? The currency is Canadian, is actually starting to look a little bit weak over here. So this one I'm not ready to get long at all. And we'll watch and see if it wants to start holding. If crude starts rallying, we know that's going to give some strength to Canadian anyway. The level that we're looking at actually almost got hit on Friday. There's a little flipstone area that was supply over here with the failed hammer on the other side, and that's it. So there's still some supply over here. So this one is not as pretty. The other ones, the longs look much better on some of the other currencies. Okay, JY. So JY does a perfect back test to the breakout of the wedge on the weekly chart. Perfect to the tick. Pushes down, rallies up, touches it, pushes down, comes back again this week, and then just pauses out. Take a look at the daily, okay? One move off the top into the supply, touches the supply on the outside, pulls back to the demand, and then Friday goes right into the top of the supply and starts selling off again, okay? So there's the demand, there's the supply, they're both working, and in between is a bunch of crap. I don't want either side of that yet. There is definitely a higher low here, there is no higher high. So again, waiting for the indexes to make their move, just like, and then JY will make its move. If the indexes are going to push off a little bit lower, we'll pop this zone and get up a little higher. If the indexes really start rallying like I'm expecting, JY is going to do this back down here. So we're watching for now signs of weakness. I don't see it just yet. You can see we just back tested to the breakout so far. Right? We're flagging over here, right? There's all these highs back here, and we pull back into the range again, and then we shoot to the top, and we come right back to the breakout area we just took out. Here's the breakout areas. That's where price is. See? So just a big ass move right into supply. That was our target. I think we talked about last week for 9,000. Gets hit, and then we pull back a little bit. So now it's in a holding pattern, waiting to figure out which way it wants to move. Uptrend on the 60, no question there, right? We get a big rejection off the highs, right back to the level. There's some demand under here, but again, you know, by trading this level, you can, based on rules. It's level on level. It made new highs. You know, we're in an uptrend. You can trade this. What's going to be? Don't know yet, but this is a tradable long down here someplace. So let's see if it looks good on the 15. You know, I wouldn't aim for more than, you know, a lower high. Yeah, it's already got a lower high. Yeah, so not a great trade anymore, or at least by the 15 perspective. That, you know, this looks to me like a head and shoulders. Okay. And if we start breaking down into this zone, you'll get a bounce. You will. But you already have a lower high, and you're breaking down at head and shoulders. What you'd like to get is only this, back test to the breakout area. That's about it. So I probably won't be taking this trade if we start pushing down. Okay. Definitely demand. I can see that. Flip, flip, touch, boom, boom, bang, right? But doing this over here would likely only produce this. So, you know, depending on how you get in, it might be a day trade for a little bit long, you know, back to 89,600. So it's about 200. Was that 40 ticks? It's not a lot of money. Okay, we'll see what it looks like when it hits. That's about it for JY. Let's move into nat gas, because this one, I think, is something I really like. It's one of the better looking trades for the week. Okay, nat gas. Here we go. First of all, I started talking about this last week, or maybe in the webinar I was talking about it. I don't remember, I think. But I'm looking at this thing. This is holding up. It's flagging over here. I don't see supply anywhere above the breakout over here. It's a damn wick that went into this supply zone. Easily another test into 3.5 change. Well, we're trading at 3.2. That's 300 ticks of air to the upside. Hello. I want a piece of that. Okay, so right now it's still holding itself up, looking really strong, surprisingly. But that's what I'm seeing here. And we take a look at nat gas on the daily, and we can see that it's a flag. It's a bull flag. The demand zone is holding it. It's a little flag out. We just put in another higher low candle. We get above this thing on the daily, we should pop out of this thing, and it's a breakout. And I know there's nothing here because I looked at it 4 times. There's air all the way up to 3.5. So it's a 300 plus breakout trade. All right, so it's something we definitely want to get a piece of the action over here. Take a look over here. This is the area that we need to pop through back here. We've already made another higher low again. And coming back over here, if we get back into the zone and it starts going, I'm in. Okay, 200 to 300 ticks up. Okay. Let's see what the lower time frame is looking like. And there's really not a good entry yet. I mean, this is okay, but I don't want it yet. Right? There's no, we haven't made new highs yet. We're still flagging down over here. Right? It's starting to hold a little bit of air, so something like this would get me into a trade. Supply and then a higher low. But until I get that, there's no entry over here yet. So again, it's sitting to look now, looking like a breakout. There's nothing else I can do yet. So I'm watching it. I want in. It actually looks like here's a beautiful looking zone. Okay, now we're talking. So here's the 15. It's sort of level on level with this. I see what it was all the way on the other side. I would like to see it push up a little more and then a straight pull back into the zone. If that happens, great. If it doesn't, and we start pushing up, I'll trade this zone, which is also pretty nice. Look what's here. Look what's here, right? So potential longs over here when this thing starts to move a little bit, okay? So keep your eye on this because this is going to be a wicked long, wicked. And get one of those monster nat gas moves. It's been asleep for a long time. It hasn't had one of those monster moves in a while. It's due, okay? So keep your eye on nat gas this week for a long target, 3.550, let's call it. All right, next, copper. Absolutely more nonsense. Okay, so far we've been banging around inside this weekly supply zone for now 6 weeks straight. Looking at it, it's a bull flag, no question about it. But right now, still making lower highs on the lower charts until it starts moving. I don't know if it's breaking up. I don't know if it's breaking down. It's holding up over here. The 250 are converging on the monthly chart. It's holding in monthly demand. You know, what's happening, nobody knows yet. It's just chilling around. So it's trading on smaller time frames, and until it starts making a move, I don't want any piece of this. Okay, it's just chopping around. Not a major copper trader anyway, so until it makes something that really makes sense, I don't love it. We can see over here that, you know, we've just got some fresh supply, and it made a new low again. But that's about it. So what? Come back to the zone. There'll be some demand over here maybe. So again, chopping, you can see these are not the extremes of the zones of the range, right? Down here is the extreme, and up here somewhere is an extreme. But in the middle, these little zones are in the middle. So when you're trading ranges, the middle is unlikely to produce anything great. So hold off from copper so far. Soy is starting to show some signs of life. I like the fact that we didn't get any continuation on the inverted hammer over here, okay? And we were able to close pretty much where we closed last week, which means this may fail. And when it does, we know where it's going, okay? Should be getting maybe, well, at least to the top of the supply. I don't know about through the first time, but, you know, up there someplace. And then once it starts holding, I'm going to start getting long over here. So I'm still waiting for this sucker. I've been talking about it for weeks and weeks, and it's just patience. We have to wait it out. But it's starting to hold up a little over here. We gapped up on a rollover gap over here this week, and then we pulled back, and we were able to hold on, left a little bit underneath us, which sort of leads to some strength. And we are currently you know, starting to rally back. So there's supply over here clearly, and we're not in any uptrends or anything like that yet. So I'm just watching, waiting for it to start to flip on the smaller time frame. The 60 is almost ready to flip its trend. Take a look here. There's our little rollover gap. So we pull back into the test. You can see we left a little piece of the gap open, at least on the small time frame chart, and then we did this, right? Boom, and then pull back right now, and we start holding this, we'll get an uptrend over here when we clear this thing. This is obviously pretty decent supply. It's the one that closed the low. It'll definitely do something. So I'd rather start, you know, until we start getting rid of this zone, then we'll start looking for longs. Dangerous area also. So the long is going to start developing once we start showing some strength and holding and breaking, and then we'll start talking about the long swing. But I just keep your eye on it for now. I don't really have a great looking entry into the longs yet. I'm biased long in case you didn't figure that part out. But yeah, we closed the week right inside this little demand zone over here on a smaller time frame chart, and doing basically like a V bottom. So if we get to the top, we pull back. If we create the higher low, so we can sort of start trading long based on V bottom rules. We'll see what happens. Okay, so keep your eye for long soy. And then the bonds, which was a really nice trade this week. Fantastic. Where we were down over here, right? And then we did this little Harami candle on the weekly chart, and then we started holding it and shooting back. So we're almost at the supply zone again. One move off the bottom. It's going to cause some kind of pushback. But on the smaller time frames, we triggered longs. First, we noticed the breakout at a daily level. There's air up here, right, all the way to 140. And then the smaller time frames started showing uptrends and started pulling back into demand and holding and pulling back and holding. And we were looking at this long. I think this is a trade I showed in the webinar, I think Wednesday. Back into the top, and we're almost there. I mean, that's the exit, and and then we start pulling back again, and we'll have to see if the bonds are really ready to make a bigger move yet. But as of now, a long into 140 and change is still okay. I exited my long based on the 60 chart. Again, it was a counter trend move on the higher time frames, and we got into some supply that I was not willing to hold on to the weekend, so I closed it on Friday, and take a look. All right, we had a couple of multiple lows back here, right into here, low, downtrend, then we get the higher high, higher low, and then we pull back to test the zone that created over there, and then we start to do the same thing. I got long after this one. After we broke all the prior highs, and we had air over here, and we pulled back into the level right here that took out these highs. Boom. And then I got long here. I had one add-on somewhere over here. I forgot which one it was either. I think it was this one. And then I'm out now. I got out at the 139 and change level over here. I'll show you. We had it on our charts on the 15. And now we're not a lot of room left. What's going to happen up here, I don't know. So I'm probably unlikely to take a bond trade as of now just yet. This was the level that was on our chart for supply, and we hit it on Friday. My order was in there, and that was it. We're done. So right now, bonds is a holding pattern. We get into the 140 and change, so we're talking about a weekly supply zone. That's the first supply after the low, right? That's what we're looking at over here. So likely to start doing something, right? There's the SOF 140 prior lows. This is one move up. Who knows what happens after that? No clue. So if you're long bonds or anything, we're pretty much at the end of the line on the long side because we're starting to get back into the zones that are going to flip the trend back, or at least the lower time first trends should start to turn over again based on what we're coming into. Okay, so that's it for this week. Anybody have any question for me? Again, quick recap. Likelihood on the equities is longs at this point. We're looking for an entry. It hasn't triggered yet. Crude also looking for a long. Gold really flagging around, just looking for that pullback if it comes into that small level I showed you for the longs. The euro, which we talked about a minute ago, again, I think we're going to the top over here, but we're looking for longs lower down to see if it holds the level. Okay, down over here, if we hold that level, that's probably the best looking long on the currency side. And then the nat gas breakout, beautiful looking trade. Okay, those are the ones we're trying to get into. So that's it for this week, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. This Wednesday will be a trading day, so stay tuned. Everyone have a great week, and I'll see you then.